Hello, can you hear me? I am terrified. Who the hell put humorist or something? I'm supposedly billed as humorist. I have no idea how it happened. I told my wife, but I'm going to come here and tell the boys and girls that the finest food in the world comes not from Italy, it comes from Scotland. And she says, if that doesn't get a laugh, nothing will. So from now on, I heard you laugh, that's me clear. As you gather, I'm fond of the table, and we have cultural differences. My wife is Italian. I think you've gathered I am Scots. I think it's a very bad policy to have your marital partner in the same country. I live in Scotland, Chiara lives in Milan, and together we have a little pied-à-terre. Excuse me, am I allowed to say pied-à-terre in Italian English? We have a little pied-à-terre in the Garfagnana, which is a region of Tuscany filled with Scots, if you've ever chanced to go near the place. Somebody did tell us that it's healthy for a marriage that the couple sleep in separate beds. And I said, well, mine's in Scotland, Chiara's is in Milan. Is that separate enough for you? We usually get away with it. It does sound rather exotic until you use the words Ryanair. And then maybe not so much. So. In truth, I think Chiara's just trying to get a British passport in readiness for when Berlusconi becomes life president of Italy and she has to run. So Chiara is trying to embrace many things British, and I'm trying to educate her and said that someday I'll be able to write to Her Majesty the Queen and ask her to give Chiara British citizenship. We did sit together watching the royal wedding, and whatever you say, the Brits do pomp like nobody else. And I did turn to her and say, wow, it makes you proud to be British, darling. She said, si. Look, I said, you're going to have to work with me a little bit on this, okay? She said, certo. No. Back to page 1. Okay, but what do I have here? So the finest food in the world is not French, it's not Italian, it comes from Scotland. In a culinary sense, let me ask you, what have the Romans ever given to us? Okay, so you have a little veal. Apart from salt and butter, also, okay, you killed a few calves. Okay, apart from this, what have the a pasta? Okay. Apart from salt and butter, pasta, you mix some flour and eggs. What else have the Italians given to us? Wow. Okay, so you crush a few grapes. So you crush grape. Well, actually, we don't have grapes. Yeah. Okay, you have grapes. You hit me where it hurts here. Okay. Apart from saltimbocca alla romana, ossobuco, grapes, Brunello di Montalcino, Vinsanto, what have the Romans ever given us? Haggis. Ah, well, there is haggis. Stick your hand up if you've ever heard of haggis. Have you ever eaten haggis? Do you know what goes into haggis? Not so many hands. Here we go. Haggis is the pluck of a sheep. What the hell's that? It's the heart, the lungs, the liver, with some onions, chopped up and added to oatmeal, suet, spices, salt, and stock. Stuffed in a sheep's stomach. Yummy. And cooked. Not the oatmeal for the vegetarians, just to... I have to say that I've brought lots of haggis to Italy, and the Italians love it. Yeah, it's very nice. It's known as the Scots national dish. At the time when Burns, the national poet, wrote his celebrated address to it, it was actually eaten all over Britain. It sort of died out, and by default it's become the Scots national dish. But, as, ladies and gentlemen, my supportive wife Chiara has pointed out, It was actually known by the Romans. It's a very old dish. But I come from the country that gave not only haggis, but square sausage and the deep-fried Mars bar. And yes, yes. Well, do the Scots eat deep-fried Mars bars is the same urban myth about what is worn beneath the kilt. This is not a Scottish evening, it's an English evening. That one also has to say a secret. How am I doing for time? Excellent. Excellent. In truth, in Scotland, not renowned for cookery, we do have very fine ingredients. The finest beef in the world is Aberdeen Angus beef. And Chiara brought her friend Patrizia one time to visit us in Scotland. We took her to the beautiful city of Edinburgh, and there we came upon a farmer's market. At one of the stalls run by two women, they were serving the finest Scottish beef, and above it was the sign with the name of the business called Well Hung and Tender. Patrizia said, "Cosa significa well hung?" Okay, we have to work on this. A lady in front of me in the queue. Now I should try and explain to the Italians. A queue is the idea where people stand in a. No, troppo complicato. No, non lo facciamo. But the lady in front of me was asking the lady serving, because behind there was a man preparing the dishes. And she said, is it him? Yes, he said, that's my husband. And is he really? She said, yes, he's very tender. Okay, basta. We do have differences. My wife and I have many, many discussions. One of them is, I just don't get tovagliolo. This is for effect. I can go from one Christmas to the next on one tovagliolo. Chiara was astonished. Chiara would not eat a plate of cornflakes without at least a square of kitchen paper. I cannot understand this mouth dabbing. I just push it in. What can I tell you? But the first time we went to eat at her mother's, and her mother is, she fits the archetypal Italian mother and cooks all day and beautifully. And the first time we sat there at what is now my mother-in-law's, Chiara sat opposite me, and I thought she was having some kind of seizure, because she's going. Then I realized there's a crumb. I'm talking a crumb from a piece of bread here on the side of my plate. And I can't understand why, when there's no side plates and there's all of these crumbs all over the table, yet if I have one here, a big can of rompipali is opened up for me. So we have some discussions. Let me explain. Excuse me. Yes, here we go. We also have many discussions on the Italian language. I cannot understand, and the Italian language undoubtedly is the most beautiful language in the world in the ear, but it has a horrible lack of vocabulary for me. And I can't understand, it astonishes me that the word in a language which has no word for nuts, no word for blunt, for shallow, skip, a play, a performer, can't distinguish between a nephew and a granddaughter, etc., but has millions of bloody words for, well, basically pasta. The tortelli, tortelloni, tortellini, tortellacci, tortellini. For Christ's sake, it's pasta. Get over it. I'm going to go along to the Accademia della Crusca with my book called Italiano Megliamente, where I have corrected the Italian language. They will be astonished. But that's a different evening. That's the Italian language evening. Let's go back to the Italian table. What is the hardest thing at the Italian table? It's the Italian arse. Il culo italiano. As you understand by now, I am very tender. And let me explain the differences and the discussions my wife and I have. If you're invited to our house in Scotland, you will arrive. The hostess, you will be invited into the living room, given a glass of perhaps Scottish barley water or a glass of whatever you like. And when the dinner is ready, the hostess will invite you through to the table, where the hostess has already decided, would you like to sit here, and would you sit here, boy, girl, etc. Whereas the Italian table is a rush straight in. No comfy seat. Straight onto the hard seat at the table. Now, the food, let me tell you, is wonderful. But, whereas you come to visit us in Scotland, it will be all nicely prepared, at the end of which you will have a coffee. I'm not talking of the Campione Gratuito, the Italian one. I mean the thing prepared in the percicopulator, what do you call it, the large machine, taken back through and delivered in the comfy seat, perhaps with a nice liqueur. Not grappa. Grappa is Italian for not to be taken internally, but a nice, perhaps, Drambuie or a Cointreau. Oh, sorry, French again. My apologies. Whereas the Italian arse, I don't have one. You sit at the Italian table where there will be no side plates for the bread and butter. In fact, there will be no butter for the bread and butter. The cutlery on the table will stay there. You have to use the same posati and put them down, oh, mamma mia, where the plate will not be heated for the main dish, where the cheese will be served before the pudding. What are we thinking about here? And usually no coffee. By which time the numbness in my arse is spreading up and up and up and up. My Italian, il mio italiano è terribile, ma la mia italiana è meravigliosa. But my ability to follow the Italian decreases as the quantity of vino, which I do appreciate, goes up, as does the level of numbness. When it reaches this point, we are talking tilt. As the 90-year-old, now 90-year-old Duke of Edinburgh once said, the brain cannot absorb what the arse cannot endure. So I'm afraid this is a Scottish arse. I'm trying to develop an Italian one so I can sit longer at the table and enjoy the Italian food. Thank you very much.